In a recent video talking about just some of the best heroes of the patch or high win rate heroes, I mentioned Underlord, and I said that the reason is because players generally don't buy items like Pipe, they don't buy Crimson, and personally, I think Pipe is a top 3 item, or I should say mid-game item, in Dota right now. I believe this item is ridiculously broken. If we just read the stats on it, it gives you 8 HP regen, 30% magic resist, which is an unbelievably high number, 3 all attributes, and most importantly, we have the active and the passive. The active gives a shield of 400 magical block that lasts for 12 seconds, which is super long in a fight, 400 magical block though, and a passive that gives 2 HP regen and 10 magical resistance, which basically means that whoever buys Pipe is going to have like 60 magical resistance, the people around you will get an extra 10%, and this magic block, it counters out so many heroes in Dota. It is so broken. On top of that, if we just look at why this item is even better, we have the hood lock trick where you can buy the first component of the pipe, you lock it, you pop the hood, then you unlock it, you get the full pipe, and you can have both barriers. You can have 2 instances of magic block in a fight. That's only one of the reasons. Another one is that Pipe has the best build-up in Dota. I'm willing to say that. I actually think this item might have the best build-up. Having a hood is crazy good. It is 1650 gold. That is nothing for an item that gives you so much. And yeah, I just think that Underlord really encompasses all this. So we're going to be following Snake King. I know that was a long intro, but we're going to be following Snake King. He's a top offlane player, and if you're excited for this video, please like and subscribe to help our channel grow. We've been doing great lately, guys. Like, the support's been incredible, so I really do appreciate it. I mean, and hopefully I can keep doing content like this every single day. I also just played a Snapfire game very recently where I outfarmed my mid lane puck, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because over on the main gameleap website, I analyzed that game, posted it over there, so if you're interested in seeing how to outfarm your mid laner, right, as Snapfire, who I still, even after the nerfs, think is one of the best supports in Dota, go check it out. Click the link down below. Let's get it. So first, let's take a look at his starting item build. This is pretty standard for all the melee heroes that we're just looking at in side lanes, and it's 2 sets of tangos, a salve, a quelling blade, and then 2 branches. You can buy the 3rd branch if you really want. He decided not to. I don't think it matters too much, it's kind of just personal preference. Moving on from there, you really have to decide whether or not you want to take your Q or your E. If you know the lane is going to be Giga Brawl, if you think they're going to put a lot of pressure on you and they're going to really run at you, you should take your Q and shove the lane to the best of your ability, and that's what we'll see in this replay. But if you think the lane is going to be static, and guys, let's be real, in a lot of low MMR games, 3k below, 4k below, the lanes are very, very static, and because of this, you want to take your E and last hit properly. So those are the 2 differentiations that I would make when just thinking about skilling on Underlord. Now in this game, he's against a Lich and a Lycan, and this is a lane that runs at you. They're going to send Wolves. Lich Q is one of the best pressure spells in Dota, so he levels up his Q, and with the Fadeable to the Rubik, they're able to super shove the wave, which doesn't make the trade incredible. They are against a Lich after all, but it makes it bearable. And he's going to continue doing this throughout the laning stage. Right now that they have an extra melee creep on their hands and they continue to shove the wave, they're in an okay spot to do okay in the trade. Now, he actually ends up going down first blood here, but if he didn't cast all 3 of his firestorms in the first minute, this lane would be over. GG. Straight up gone. And I see a lot of 3k, 4k players have full mana at the 3-minute mark, and it literally wants me to blow my head off. Are you kidding me? These pros can run out of mana in the first minute, and you won't even cast a single or consider casting a single spell in 3 minutes. Just keep that in mind, guys. Whenever you're in a hard harassing lane, get your spells off cooldown, get them going. Then if you die, it's a pretty favorable trade. Like, in my opinion, he doesn't even care that much about dying there. Because now, look at this Rubik. Rubik is huge. And yes, this isn't him, it's his position 4, but the Rubik is going to be able to enable him later on. He believes so much in this Rubik that he's actually going to sidepole here to get the lane back, because he understands there's a double wave under the Lycan's tower, right? Meaning that the Lycan has to focus on this. Lycan is also low on resources because of all the trading that they've recently done, and this is a perfect play. You burn their resources, you go for the sidepole, you commit them to fight in an area that is not under the tower, which is very inconvenient for Lycan and Lich, and now we're going to see him just get a couple of CS under tower. It just was really good sequencing, in my opinion, from Snake King, where his lane looked a little bit sketch, but you're going to end up noticing that in a couple minutes, he'll be the highest net worth hero, and let's figure out why. So the most important thing to consider about Underlord as a hero, and I'll be mentioning it a couple times throughout this video, is that he relies on items. You cannot play this hero as some, like, run-you-down laner. Now, if they run into you, by all means, Underlord loves trading when people run into him, right? Because then you can keep them in your queue. But most of the time in the laning stage, you are focusing on last hits and denies. Nothing else. And I mean that. Nothing else, right? Gets a deny, gets a last hit, Lycan ran into him, he casts his Q. This is the formula of Underlord. It's the formula of Underlord. Anything else is generally incorrect because your hero really, really wants items to be able to do things in the mid game. And yeah, I'm not going to show you the entire laning stage because it's kind of just a lot of repetition of side pulls. Side pulls are great for Underlord because he can farm the side camps very effectively. It makes the fights in a very congested area, which is a big win for Underlord and his ability to cast a Q overall. Moving on from there, when it comes to items that you want to purchase after this headdress that he got very early on, which I heavily recommend, it builds into your pipe later on, and that's just a good reason to buy during the laning stage. It's just one of the best laning items. After that, he had queued up a soul ring, and I recommend if your lane is going really, really poorly, you go for the soul ring. It's going to give you more HP regen, a bit more HP to sustain the lane. But in this game, he felt like he could go very aggressive. They've been able to pressure this Lycan very, very hard. They have a lot of damage debuffs for the Lycan and the Wolves, so they could trade very effectively, and therefore he goes for the phase boots, which I really like here. He's kind of assessing the situation and saying, okay, I can apply pressure, so instead of going at a more so defensive item like Soul Ring, I'm going to go for the phase boots and kind of just run at them here. And I want to be clear about one main point, guys, and keep this in mind if you decide to play any sort of farming offlane hero. Do not rotate. Do not save your safe laner bottom. Do not TP mid. Please stay in your lane and farm. Like, you cannot sacrifice your own game as Underlord. It just does not work. You do not want to be underleveled. This hero needs items and levels, right? And it is not a problem to get items and levels on Underlord. All you have to do is exactly what Snake King's doing. Push out the lane, side pull. Push out the lane, side pull. Over and over and over again. And you're going to get farmed because using your Q, you can take the side camp and quickly clear out the waves. It's extremely efficient. Just do not rotate. Please listen to me. If there's one thing you can take out of this video, it's sustain your lane, get all the last hits and denies, and do not rotate. He cares so much about levels that instead of going for both of the bounty routes, he only picks up the closest one just to make sure that he doesn't miss any XP. This is the mindset and mind frame of the pro players that a lot of people just don't care enough about. Like, I will literally see players walk across the map for a bounty rune and miss a wave. It's like, no, you can't do that. The levels are so important in Dota, and really, from what I've watched, people just don't care that much about them. Now, at this point in the game, he's going to make his first TP, and I just want to kind of say why. So his team is getting gone on. I think he felt like he could help them. They ended up dying instantly, which obviously makes it kind of a worse rotation. But at the end of the day, what would he do if he just straight up TPs here? What's his goal in mind? What are you doing as Underlord? Your hero is a tower defender, right? You are a tower defender. So often, the best play in the mid game for Underlord is mirroring the enemy team. If you are a safe lane player on PL, your goal is to hardcore mirror them. So if they are bottom, you are top, right? If they are top, you are bottom. That's if you're PL or some PA. If you're Underlord, you are trying to directly mirror them. Maybe I should come up with some different terminology so you really understand it. I would say you're trying to copy them. That's the best way to think about it. So if they are bottom, you can be bottom, right? You want to take the hard farm and make them dive you. You want to waste their time and cast a Q on the wave. That is the goal. So when he sees them bottom here, he sort of copies them. Now in this case, the Lycan overextends a little bit, so he casts his W, then his Q, just gets a little bit of damage. Underlord doesn't always do that much damage in the early game, especially if the enemy team is kiting away, but I just like the fact that he's synergizing with this Razor here. After that, you're going to notice he continues to push in the waves. Always shove waves. Shove the waves. If you're playing Underlord, you better be queuing a wave every 30 seconds. Otherwise, it's not good enough. And now in this case, they ended up leaving bottom. He sees that the Lycan goes top and actually sort of midish. So once again, he understands that Shaker's not going to pressure the tower. He doesn't want to take this easy farm. He would rather force attention. Attention is what you're trying to grab here. Underlord is just really, really good at that. So what do we see? Attention. He grabs it. Morphling is free farming. This is great. And now he makes this kind of bizarre TP bottom. I don't want to phrase it as bizarre. It's just that his team decided to farm mid, right? Nyx and Rubik both sort of wanted it. So he decides to go bottom. I believe that he expected the Lycan or the OD eventually to come back down here. And so he comes, right? Also, he wants to farm. I will keep this simple. It might not be any more complex than I need to get to my next item timing, my supports want mid, my Razor's jungling, my Morphling's top, we're not team fighting, they're not pressuring towers, and so I will go take the open farm. That literally could be all of his mindset and his thought process. I don't know for sure, but guys, think about that sometimes. Dota's not always that complex. Now, next up, I just want to mention that he takes a 30 movement speed talent. I see a lot of Underlords take this, and it seems a bit weird. It's like, oh, why wouldn't you take the Fire Wave Storm damage? It actually lets you one-shot waves and such. Why wouldn't you do that if you're trying to defend towers? What you need to understand about movement speed is two things. Underlord gets a lot of right-click damage, and it is impossible to right-click people if you are not fast. So he buys obviously the phase boots, and then the movement speed. Those two things together allow him to actually right-click people. And, most importantly, what most people don't realize about movement speed is it keeps you alive. I think I said this in an old video, but movement speed is HP, or even cast range is HP. I believe that was what I said. I really believe that. The further away you can get from your opponent, the faster, whether or not it's because you didn't have to go close in the first place because of cast range, or you can move away quickly because of movement speed, you're going to be able to stay alive. And yes, this is why I think effectively this movement speed is a lot of HP for a hero like Underlord. If they dive you, right, and they try to catch up to you, a hero like Lycan, it's going to take him a lot longer in between each auto attack because you're just zooming. And moving forward here, he's just kind of chilling out bottom. He suspects that they're going to dive here, so what does he do? He casts his Q, he reads that they're going to potentially look for the gank, right? He understands that, okay, they might try to come in. He even just got scanned. He doesn't know that, obviously, but he sees the dive coming. He's like, okay, clearly the enemy team is trying to push out bottom. So what does he do? Well, he gets feared, immediately ulties. On top of that, he even throws out his Q, does some damage to the enemy team, and gets out. And this is really what you're trying to do as Underlord. You're trying to force attention, stall out the enemy team, and then get out. Like, that's the benefit of this hero. On top of that, I have to mention that throughout this entire game, he didn't go for the Soul Ring, which I think is a good option. If you don't feel like you're comfortable with mana management, then you can buy the Soul Ring, but for the most part, this game, he's been relying on a stick and primarily clarities. Now, if you guys watch my videos, you know that I do not recommend pushing towers the majority of Dota games. Just like, I am a big proponent of avoiding towers in ranked, because often it will just get you killed and you're not farming and it's not a big win. But for Underlord, I like the idea only because, once again, you're trying to draw attention and force people to come to you. So that's what he does here. He walks up to like a half HP tower, he gets the atrophy aura bonuses from the creeps around him, and starts to take it. If you don't understand Underlord, basically atrophy aura does a couple of things. It reduces the damage of all the opponents around you, but it's just their base damage, so something like the plus 60 damage from the new Deso, that won't get reduced, but all of their base damage will, and it goes all the way up to 35%, which is very impressive. Every single creep that dies around you will give you an extra bonus 5 damage for a short period of time. It is 30 seconds at level 1, 40 at level 2, and so on. And then finally, also heroes that die around you, in addition, give you more damage. So basically, this is just like a damage swap type of ability that is very good for laning, and it allows you to farm a little bit faster, as well as take towers, just like that. And as you saw, he attracted a lot of attention, got the Pango and the Lich Show mid, and once again, back to mid. He's just kind of like always looking for the open lane, and then if there's no open lane, he'll take a jungle camp. This is just Underlord in a nutshell. Now I just want to take a very good look at ultimate usage. This is very important, and this is one of the main reasons why I love the idea of playing this hero in solo queue. It gives you this option to save stupid cores. I mean, I kind of mean it. Like, I don't know what to say. If you think your core is dumb and overextending, you're just like, alright, yep, I'll just save you. So in this case, he makes a really good decision not to run through the hill to ulti him, because then he would probably get astraled or lich pulled, and then they wouldn't be able to connect, but he takes a long way around, preps the ulti, and catches him on the tip of it, getting them both out. So just a really smart play. Always keep that in mind when you're playing Underlord. It is such a big advantage because you're going to be able to save cores who naturally will overextend. And following that, we have to look at his item build. So this is pretty standard, and I recommend you go some variation of this every single game. So what he goes for is the phase boots, wand, pipe, Crimson. Now you can replace Crimson with the halberd if you think it's a much better halberd game. You can replace the halberd with even something like Solar Crest. You have some options there, and it depends on the game. But for this game in particular, Crimson is a direct counter to Lycan. It hard counters Lycan. All of his units get absolutely destroyed when people have Crimson. He can purge it with his Necromonicon 3, but that's only on one target. So it's overall just an extremely good purchase to counter on Lycan. It's decent against OD. It's okay against Pango as well. So yeah, I just like the decision for him to buy a Crimson this game. And then obviously he's going to have a pipe. You basically want to buy pipe every single game. Even if they seemingly don't have a lot of magical damage, every single team comp will have some form of it, right? Some form, and 400 block will add up. Upcoming here, this is a very important point on general map movement, and it's a strong advantage of Underlord because of his ulti. Basically, it's one of those heroes where you can push in the lane very, very far, and then catch off the enemy team off guard by all of a sudden showing up in another lane. So as we see here, I'm going to go back a little bit. As you see here, they were pushing in top, they go really, really far, and then he ultis them all to the middle lane, and this will basically allow them to shove bottom out very quickly without committing any TPs, which is a big deal, because now, if they really needed to, they could all TP back to this outpost, and that would allow them to play super high tempo. Just think about that. You're playing top, you go mid, they see you all mid, all of a sudden, you have 4 heroes top again. Like, that's some crazy Dota, but it's really an option, and you can even see him draw a line onto here. He's like, get back there. He's like, save that. And now we're gonna see the end of the game, and you might ask, Speed, you barely showed us any team fights. Funny enough, they barely team fought this game. There was like a few here and there, but for the most part it was like, oh, I don't like the fight, I get us out, fight ends immediately. Oh, I do like the fight, I pop my W, I pop my Q, and I try to block off choke points. Other than that, it's like, okay, you gotta pop your Crimson, pop your pipe, and then walk around and try to hit people. But Underlord, he's, funny enough, for a really good team fighter, he can avoid team fights very effectively due to the fact that you shove waves extremely fast, low committal, and on top of that, you have your ulti to get people out. But we'll look at this fight here. You're going to notice that, okay, he has 150 Atrophy Aura damage, he has a Solar Crest on top of him, and even permanent damage, because if you get kills, you get permanent damage with Underlord, which is something I didn't mention before, but it comes into play a little bit. And then with this level 20 talent, he takes 60 attack speed. And it's like, why wouldn't you take health regen? I thought you were supposed to be the tank. Not really. Later into the game, you are a tank, but you're really tanky enough for the most part. You take the 60 attack speed, you get the bonus Atrophy Aura damage, and you just chunk buildings. And that's what he's doing here. He's acting as the Sieger first team. The enemy team doesn't want to go on Underlord. That feels like a waste. Going on Underlord, it's like, no. So basically, you just sit in the front, you tank all the damage, he has 40 HP regen without the talent, and now the Pango goes on, he casts his W, quick kill, back to the tower, and this is all you have to do. You just zone people out if they try to mess with you, and it is super, super effective. And yeah, that's exactly where this game ends. They hit their timings, they walk up, game over. And that's Dota right now. I really do believe that's a big part of Dota right now that people are missing out on. You hit these timings where you have 3 aura items, and then, you know, obviously some other efficient items, and you walk up, you have an Aegis, I believe Morphling has their Aegis, or it ran out, maybe Razor had it, don't remember for sure, but you hit your timings, you walk up, and game's over. This OD is very underfarmed. He was actually Gorg, funny enough, but he became very underfarmed because the enemy team was hunting him so much, and the waves were always shoved in, and then the Lycan wasn't able to do any damage. Like, Underlord completely destroys this hero just because of the items he buys. And that's the thing, guys. Items right now let you just counter certain heroes. Straight up, even the Pango ulti. Like, he's still going to be able to stun everyone, but this right-click build that he has isn't nearly as effective because you pop the Crimson, you pop the pipe, and everything that Pango does is going to do, like, 50% of what it would have. And yeah, this is really why I like Underlord. You kind of just have this silent effect of defending towers and then shoving in lanes. You get items, you show up to a team fight, and even if you seemingly don't have a lot of impact, it's like, your Q only did like 10% damage to one hero. It's like whatever, because you just zone out complete areas with your W, you pop your auras, and you reduce damage, and then, yeah, it's like, okay, your team won the fight. But that's going to be all for today's video. I know it was very information-packed, but hopefully you guys are inspired to play Underlord or at least try him out. I think it's a very straightforward hero at its core, as long as you focus on your item timings. If you don't get items, you'll feel like an absolute bot, so understand that. Like, I'm just leaving the video with this because if you don't understand that, you're going to feel like, oh, this hero is garbage, I can't do anything, and that's probably because you're not positioning correctly, you're not pushing in waves enough, and you're not defending towers. But thank you guys for watching, hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and adios.
Are you tired of being hard stuck at your rank? Over at gameleap.com, we have a library of hundreds of guides authored by pro players and coaches covering literally every aspect of Dota. Whether you're looking to master a new hero or role, or just polish up your existing skills, GameLeap is the proven place for competitive gamers to hone their craft and unlock their secret potential. Hit the link on screen right now, to take advantage of our special offer for a 25% discount, guys, 25%, and start your journey today.